Good news for telecom users or mobile users in India, where the calls could get cheaper after India's telecom regulator TRAI has more than halved the so-called interconnect usage charge or IUC to 6 paisa with effect from October 1st next month and abolished it altogether for local calls starting January 1, 2020, dealing a big blow to all the telcos and a potential boost to newcomer Reliance Jio Infocomm. TRAI or Telecom Regulatory Authority of India believes that reduction of charge levied by telecom operator for terminating a call from another telco will benefit consumers and boost competition on its website. The regulator said that move to the so-called bill and keep regime where no interconnection charge is paid by telco to another would encourage flat rate billing and time differentiated charges. So mobile calls could get cheaper in India after TRAI has terminated the IUC or interconnect usage charge with effect from October 1st, 2017. The TRAI's decision may be challenged in court though, and telecom companies can go to court challenging TRAI's decision. There is a reduction in potential boost to newcomer Reliance Jio. It can get benefit of reduction in IUC. And just to get some kind of more clarity on this whole news, we are joined by Mahesh Uppal, a telecom expert. Good morning to Mr. Uppal. First of all, I would like to ask you, what should Indian users expect? How much of the call rates can come down? They're already very cheap, though.
Yes, I think this is good news for customers, but I think we should not exaggerate this good news. Because remember, what has changed is a charge that is an inter-operator charge. This is the money that companies charge each other for terminating calls on their network. Now, how much of this will be passed on to consumers is one question. The second question is, recall also that voice calls have almost become free in several networks already. So, I mean, there is only that much more difference that this IUC reduction can make. However, I think it is, as your report also pointed out, this is good news for Jio and not so good news for the older operators, Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, etc. Now, clearly, as far as Jio is concerned, all calls that come from its network to the network of existing players, which currently attract a payment of 14 paise per minute, will now attract less than half of that, barely 6 paise. So this is good news for Jio. But as I said, given that the tariffs are already zero and given that the customers don't pay for local for voice calls, the impact is more on the operator and less for the consumers.
Also, Mr. Uppal, again, we would like to understand something that now telecom companies are planning to challenge that in court because they will be either receiving and suffering losses. How likely is that some kind of relief will be given to telecom companies? Because I'm asking you this question because telecom companies are saying they are suffering huge losses. So is there any chance that some kind of relief will be given to telecom companies and this consumer-friendly measures could be stopped also?
See, we have to be very clear that courts are not the place where you get a relief simply because you're suffering losses. Even if you are suffering losses, that is not where you go to get relief. However, the courts can give you relief if they find that there is anything wrong with the process adopted by the TRAI in coming to this decision. If, for instance, TRAI, the courts find, has failed to take on board certain inputs that were relevant, or has not given the right to, has not allowed everybody to make inputs, or has actually made an error in calculations, those kinds of things the courts can deal with.
Right.
Not whether the companies are suffering losses or profits. So I would imagine that the chances of companies getting relief on merit is 50-50. And there have been a lot of concerns that some of the reasons that the TRAI has used may not stand up in court, but time will tell.
All right, Mr. Uppal, thanks for joining us and getting us all these details. So we were talking to a telecom expert, Mahesh Uppal, on this important story where mobile calls could become cheaper for Indian users at IUC or interconnect usage charge has been cut by telecom regulator here.